Let's make the easygoing knit hat by Kristen Mangus. Welcome back to another Yarn Inspirations tutorial. I'm your host, Kristen Mangus of GoodKnitKisses. Let's get started. In today's pattern, you are going to need a bulky number 5 weight yarn. We're using Bernat Roving color Clover. I'm so glad you joined me to make this easy hat. This is an easy knit hat is what we're calling it. It is to match the easygoing knit pullover by Yarn Inspirations. And I have made this, converted it over into, and in the pattern in the round, you can work with DPNs, double pointed needles the entire way, or you can work with the circular needle and then use the DPNs on this crown section here. You're going to need a US 10.5 or 6.5 millimeter needle, and that is a circular with a 16-inch, or of course in DPNs. And if you need to make the crown a little smaller, you can use a size down, use just a size 10 with 6 millimeter for the DPNs. You're also going to need a wide-eyed tapestry needle and a stitch marker today, and your tape measure. Most of all, you're going to need 1 ball of Bernat Roving yarn. Let's get started. If this is your first hat, we're going to make a long tail cast on. If you've been taught another method that you prefer, you can do so if you wish. I'm going to pull out enough long tail to put on 48 stitches, and one of the easiest ways to do that, if you don't know the width or circumference of something, you can just wrap around that many stitches around your needles and then mark that area. So we're going to do that now. So take your needle and wrap it around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then push it back and continue going until you get 48. I'll meet you in a minute. And another trick is I'm halfway through, so I'm going to measure to that halfway point and go to here so that I've got it double the amount. I'm going to put in a slip knot right in the middle here. You can make it however you like. The way I make it is I wrap it around my finger twice. I take that back loop over the front just slightly, and then now I take the new back loop over the tip of my finger and over that loop, and now I have it. I'm going to put the tail right here towards me, and then this is the ball. This is coming from the ball of the yarn in the back, so ball in the back. Slip our needle in here, cinch that up here, and now we're going to do the cast on with the long tail or slingshot method. You're going to grab both strands in your hand like this with your last 3 fingers, trapping it in. Split those 2 yarns with your thumb and your finger and pull back like a slingshot. Now we're just going to scoop up with this needle where our thumb is. See, it's making this loop around my thumb. We're going to scoop that up, and then we're going to go down where this finger is, down here between that little area. And then we're going to go down through this thumb area again. Let that thumb drop off, the yarn on there, and then pull that up so that these two match. It's not super loose to where it falls off, but not super tight where it can't glide and get another needle in there. So let's pull that back again and do it again. So we're going to scoop up to the thumb, down for the finger, down through the thumb again. Let that go off and cinch it up. Make sure don't pull too tight. Do that again, up through the thumb, down through the finger, down through the thumb, let it go. Scoop up, down, down, let it go. Okay, and then we're pulling that up as we end. So just continue doing that until you get 48 stitches, and pause your video and I'll meet you back in a moment. Get that stitch marker ready and we'll see you soon. So we have cast on, these are all my stitches, and whether you are on DPNs or you're on circular, it's a very similar process. I'm going to show it on the circulars, and I also have a video on how to use DPNs as well on another hat, a polka dot knit hat, so check that video out in the description below, and you can see how to connect in the round with DPNs, the double pointed needles. So we've got our first stitch and our last stitch here, and we want to get them close together, so we're going to go in the round. We want to make sure that these stitches are not twisted, so go ahead and make sure that this little bulky part here is all towards the inside. And I'm going to pinch my between my stitches here about halfway and pull on this extra amount of cording right now. Now all this will spread out as we get our main stitches on here. It's just a little tighter for my cast on, which I kind of prefer, and then we will connect these here. I've got my stitch marker out here where I can grab it. Okay, so I want to take my my stitches first and make sure that I haven't twisted anything, which I haven't. They're all together here. Take this first stitch off the needle on the left and kind of hold it towards you, just pinch it. And now we're going to work the yarn to where this stitch gets really close to the end, and I'm going to put it on my left needle. So we're just going to pick it up and put it on the opposite needle right here. Now it's a little tight. Make sure and hold it with another finger to get that on there. And now I have this little pinched area here. We're just going to pick that up with the opposite needle that it was on. So now we have our first and last stitch switched, and it's now joined in the round. I'm going to just take my stitch marker and put that on there. And if you have to, then you can always like go down and kind of scoop it up and pick it up that way. This first round, I'm going to leave this here. You can also take it off and pin it on the front. I like leaving it in the round here, except when you're on double pointed needles, you may have to put your stitch marker down on this first row after, or the first round after you've done a few rounds. That way it's not falling off of your needle. Okay, so we're going to start our first stitch. We are going to knit in the back loop, knit through the back loop. So instead of knitting, so if you haven't knit before, you're going to go into this first stitch here and you go around, yarn over and pull that stitch through. Okay, that's a regular knit stitch. What we're going to be doing is through the back. So I'm going to take my opposite hand, or my dominant hand needle, and go to the back here. And we're going to go through the back of this loop here, and then take our working yarn, not the tail, take your working yarn and wrap it around that needle and then pull that on through. That makes a new stitch there. Drop that old one off and you've just knit through the back loop. That's a twisted loop or twisted knit stitch. Now we're going to move our yarn to the front and we're going to purl. So we're going to go into the front of this stitch here, yarn over, and we're going to push that on through to be a purl stitch and let it slide off the old needle. Now we're going to alternate between knit in the back loop, or knit in the back loop, and purl. So we're just going to put our working yarn between these two to get it to the back, and we're going to knit in the back of this stitch here for a twisted stitch. That's knit, yarn forward, purl, and you're just going to continue on. This makes a nice stretchy ribbing. And if you are used to working with roving yarn, this will be no different than last. But if you've never worked with roving yarn, when you go through the stitches, make sure you get the entire stitch and don't break that yarn in half. Don't go right in between here, okay? So we're going to go right through here, work that stitch all together, make sure to get the entire thing off, and alternate back and forth, and go ahead and complete this round, and then you will continue on with the same stitch as you go. So you're just going to continue knitting in the back loop on top of the stitches that you did before and purling. So repeat round 1 all the way until you measure 2 inches. All right, so I will meet you back up when you've got 2 inches knit. See you soon. Okay, so I have knit the brim length that I need, and I want to show you something before I move on. If you have to put this down, say you put it down after you make the brim and then you want to make the main body later on, a great way to put that down is to leave 1 stitch left on your needles, either on DPNs or on the circulars, and that way your stitch marker doesn't come off. All right, so we want to go ahead and purl this last stitch here, and then we'll move on to the main stitch pattern for the body of the hat. Slip our stitch marker over, and all you're going to do is knit. This is not twisted at all. It's just a regular knit stitch. So go on 1 round of knit, and I'll meet you back up to show you how that first part of the textured stitch happens. Pause your video and I'll see you soon. We completed the first round, which is knit. Now we're going to start the second round. This is the textured pattern part of this stitch pattern. You're going to put your yarn in the front because we're going to be purling, but we're going to do something a little different. You're going to purl 1 below. So we're going to be putting our right needle, or our dominant hand needle, into the back of this stitch here. So you see this purl bump here, you're going to go into that purl bump. It's an easier way to see it. Until you get used to it, you could just go like that. And you've got your needle here, it's in the front. We're going to yarn over that needle in the front and push that through that hole in the back. and let it fall off. So now you have these two purl stitches together, these two stitches together, and they're purled. And now we want to put our yarn to the back again and just knit. All right, let's do that again. We're going to be repeating. We're going to yarn forward as if to purl. We'll purl through the back of this stitch below, so purl one below, and then yarn over, and then push that on through to get that purl, and then let that drop off. Yarn to the back again and knit the stitch. So you're going to complete one round of that, repeating around, and I'll meet you back up when you have. See you soon. Okay, so I finished that round, and now we want to knit. We're just going to continue knitting 2 rounds actually. So you're going to knit 2 rounds and you will have completed that textured stitch pattern. Okay, so then you will repeat those rounds again. It might be easier to remember that once you've done the textured round, okay, that round 2, then you just knit 3 rows of the knit stitch. It's kind of harder to remember that you need to do the textured and then 2 and then 1 again. So just think, I did the textured row, I'm going to knit 3 textured round and then knit 3 rounds. We're going to do a textured round, knit 3 rounds. That's so much easier. So we're going to do these 4 rounds, going to continue in the pattern until your work measured the desired length. I have made mine, that pattern states 8. You can make your 7 and make it a little bit more fitted hat. If you want it a little longer slouchy, you can make it in the 8. So the 8 on mine goes actually about to here. So this is actually about 7. So the stitch pattern actually works up to like this. I'll knit a little bit and show you what yours should start looking like. And then we will meet back up again after that to work the crown. All right, pause your video and I'll see you a little later. All right, so this is what it looks like after knitting a few repeats. We've got 1 texture stitch row here, and then we have 3 rows of the knit stitch, and then another texture stitch row, and then I'm going to knit 3 more. So keep repeating that process of the 4 row repeat, and we will meet back up when you have the desired length, and you get that desired length from measuring at the brim to the top edge here to 7 inches for a more fitted beanie, and you could go to 8 if you want to have about an inch of brim to roll up. So if you like a brim that's like this, where it flips up like this, then you're going to need the 8 inches. So this one goes from here to here, 7. I'll meet you back at this point, and then we will work on the crown. All right, we'll see you soon. Pause your video. All right, so what happens if you make a mistake? Let me just stop here for a moment. I'm going to interrupt your regularly scheduled broadcast here. Let's say you knit this up and you realize that one of your rows along here, usually as you go along, you think, wow, this was really much too shorter. Like maybe you only did 2 rows in between and not the 1. I'm going to just show you how to back up. This one is correct here, but I just want to show you how to back up and work that stitch. So let's say you had a knit stitch here and you want to go back and go and fix this one. Okay, so we're going to go into this stitch right here, okay, and then we want to pull back on our stitches so you can see these 2 stitches here. Going to insert our needle into that hole and then slowly let this stitch drop off that right needle and pull it out. Now you have 2 stitches, and yours will most likely be switched like this. So the longer one is in the back and the shorter one is in the front. We want to put the longer one in the back, on the tip, all right, and take that shorter one and lift it up and over like this. And then that becomes a knit stitch, and you can kind of play with the stitches here to kind of ease that tension up, and then it's ready to work whatever you need to do. So you can actually go backwards and tink and go backwards, which is knit spelled backwards, or you can frog and you can actually like pull all your needles out and pull it back and rip back your work. It kind of nicknamed rivet, like rip your work back. So but I recommend just working backwards like this, and it's good to get the practice of how to undo your work and fix mistakes. Okay, so there's how to fix a mistake. We're going to continue on until you reach 8 inches from here to here, and And then when you get there, meet me back up. But pause your video. When you're ready, come to this point again. And I'm actually going to show you right now how to weave in your beginning tail. So pause it if you need to, or continue on. So I'm just going to take my wide-eyed tapestry needle. And normally, this is actually a little shorter tail than I would normally desire. This is about 3 or 4 inches. I'd really like to have a 6 or 8. So if it is short, you can always go into the stitch you want to go into and then thread your needle. Let's see if I have enough room here. Okay. So I want to go into my stitches, and you can, if you connected it the way I did, you don't have to try and connect in the round. If you didn't connect in the round and you just kept going and there's a gap, you can actually go in through these stitches and kind of imitate a beginning chain stitch. I don't need to do that here. So I'm just going to go into the inside and turn my work around so I can really see these stitches here. And I'm going to go into this column of knit stitches. Okay, so this is the back of our purl stitches. Let's go in. I'm going to go in over on this side. Okay. Go into the back of here. And then I'm just going to kind of wiggle my needle around. If you have a bent tapestry needle, it works really well. So I'm going to go into this little stitch here, and then I'm going to twist and go around and go into the next stitch up, twist around, in and up, in and up. So that's how you go into the back of a column of knits here, and you go up, and then it hides that right there. See how that works? You can even pull through a few more and pre-thread on your needle into them, and then get that in there like that. All right, pull through. Look at that. And then pull that tension out so that you can make sure that it's nice and eased. It doesn't mess with the stretchiness of your work. And then you can lock that last little tail in by turning your work around and just go back into these stitches here. And in order to do that, you got it. You're going to do what I did earlier and kind of pre-thread these in here. And then now I'm going to put the yarn onto my needle. There we go. Pull that on through. Just going to tug it a little bit. All right, now we're going to make sure that's nice there. Okay. Make sure my column looks nice. I'm going to check it on the front. It looks good on the front. All right, and so I can just snip that little tail off, and I am ready. All right, we'll see you in a few minutes when you're ready to finish the crown, and you'll need your double pointed needles to make it a little bit smaller later if you so desire. See you soon. I have my measured 8 inches from our brim to the main body here. Okay, this textured pattern, 8 inches, and then I want to start shaping the top or the crown. I've got my double pointed needles ready, and you can do that as well. This first round, I'm actually going to go ahead and use it on my circulars. My double pointed needles are a little short. They're 5 inches. If you have 6-inch ones, it works really well. So I'm going to wait until I absolutely need to put them on DPNs. So these are just going to sit here in the meantime. All right, so the first round of shaping the top, you're going to knit 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've knit 4, and now we're going to knit 2 together, and we're just simply taking 2 stitches and going into both of them, that front leg of that stitch there, and knit them as if they're 1 stitch. That's it. So we're knit 4, knit 2 together all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do it one more time, and we'll pause the video and you can do the same. So we're going to go into these 2 stitches here, go in, yarn over, pull that on through, and you're done. And got caught a little bit of my roving there. There we go. All right, so continue all the way around, pause your video, and I'll meet you back up for the second round. See you soon. Okay, so you've got that first round done. We're down to 40 stitches. We had 48 on our needles. Go ahead and slip that stitch over, and now we're just going to knit the second round and all the other alternate rounds. So every other row is going to be knit across. There will be no decreasing. So go ahead and knit these stitches, pause your video, and I'll see you back for the third round. See you soon. All right, I'm on the third round, and all we're going to do here is, again, we're slip our stitch marker over, and we're going to knit 3 instead of 4. So we knit 1, 2, 3, and then knit 2 together. So it's the same as that other decrease round, except we're just knitting 1 stitch less before that decrease. So you should have 4 stitches here. You had 5, now you're at 4. So we're just going to knit 3 here. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll go knit these 2 together here. All right, so we're going to go all the way around and repeating that process. And by the time you get to the end of this round, you might want to be able to start using your DPNs on the next round. You can offload them on the next one. I'll show you how to do that. Continue and pause your video, and I'll see you soon. Okay, I'm ready for my alternate round after the third round. I have 32 stitches on my needles. Divided by 4 of these DPNs, I'm going to put 8 stitches on each needle, and then my 5th DPN is going to be my working needle. So in order to get these on, I can actually knit them at the same time. So I'm just going to ignore this needle on my right. This is my stitch marker, and for the moment, I don't need it. So let's just go ahead and knit this. So we've got our needle back here. And we're just going to make sure these are nice and close. So ignore this one on the right, the old one. Wrap around that DPN, and we just create a stitch here. 1, and then let's work with the next one. 2. This also is a good way to get you ready for DPNs, so learning how to ignore that needle that's just basically a stitch holder. Okay, we're going to offload that. Okay, 3, and we're just knitting all the way around. 4, 5. I can throw that in the back now. 6, 7, and 8. And as you can see, my DPN has gotten full. It's got enough here so where I know it's not going to fall off. So now I can just ignore this needle, and I'm going to go on to the next one and insert it and knit from this new one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, got 8 on that one. Ignore and go to the next one. And you're just going to continue until you have all stitches on your needle. Pause your video and meet me back up for the 5th round of decreasing. See you soon. So what I've done is I've taken my stitch marker now, and because I can open that, it's a closable one, I've just hooked it on one of these stitches below my last stitch here. So this is the last stitch I came to because it's got my working yarn on it. And then now I want to know where the beginning of my round starts, so that's why I've just moved it here, and that way it can't slip off these needles, and it's up close, and so you can pin it down here, but it's closer up here so I can really see it. And this can be moved, but we only have a few rounds left. All right, so we're going to decrease another round. So instead of using this needle that would be here, you pick up your 5th one, okay, and then we're going to work 2 stitches and then knit 2 together. So same as before, just 1 less. So knit 1 and 2, and then knit 2 stitches together. All right, and then we have, you can see we have 1, for some reason I picked that extra stitch up. That's funny. Okay, so if you noticed earlier I was counting on this first row. I'm actually going to point out my mistake here. I must have somehow picked up this bar in between, and so that actually wasn't a real stitch. Ha! Anyway, hey, we're all human here, so just want you to see what I did. So I knit 1 and then 2 and then knit these last 2 stitches together. So you have used all of them on this needle, and now you've got a new free needle. Turn your work and continue going, knitting 2, then knitting 2 together, knitting 2, and knitting 2 together. So continue around and then make another round, just knit stitches only. So you're going to do the same thing we did here, and then when you get to that beginning stitch, then just work 1 round with just knit stitches only. By the time you end this round, you'll have 24 stitches left. I'll meet you back in a minute. All right, so we are ready for the last round here. This is the 7th round. We're going to, you guessed it, knit 1 and then knit 2 together. Okay, and then knit 1 and knit 2 together, and then you're just going to continue all the way around. You've gone to 24 stitches, and this is going to take you down to 12 stitches. Okay, so go all the way around, and I'll meet you back up to show you how to finish this off. See you soon. Here we're at the end. We have 12 stitches left, and we're just going to cut a length of yarn and grab our tapestry needle. You don't need much yarn, just enough to get through all these loops. So we're just going to pick them up off of these needles and pull through like this. So we just continue in the same order that we're going. Our working yarn is coming from here, and just go in that direction and continue all the way around and pull through, and I'll show you how to finish this up after. Pause your video and I'll see you in a moment. All right, this is my last stitch. You can see that beginning part there. You're just going to pull this tight, okay? And then I'm going to go through. I'm going to pick up 1 loop here on the end as I go to get that beginning part in. Got 1 stitch here. Connect that in the round, pull tight, and then I'm going to go through and to the inside. Turn my hat inside out and just pull that tail on through. Make sure I've got all my strands. And then now I'm just going to go through, I just like to go through a couple of stitches here just to make sure that I've got it nice and tight. And then I pull through one last one and make a little loop. Well, I didn't leave the loop, but let's do that again. I'll pull through and then make a knot, and I can just cut it. So turn that hat inside out, remove your stitch marker, and you are done. What a lovely hat. I hope you've enjoyed making your easy knit hat today. On behalf of Yarnspirations and Good Knit Kisses, I'm your host, Kristen, wishing you happy knitting. Bye-bye.